Hello, welcome back to the King's Court. Now, we are hosting a bit more of an open session today. Usually these are closed off, members only, and tomorrow's session will be. But for today, we have something that is of interest to the general public, of great interest, I could say. We have a return guest. Munster, you were on the channel before discussing FlyQuest Red about a year ago. Since then, you've become involved with Passion UA. We'll get into how exactly. And obviously, their recent acquisition of the Complexity Core is the big talking point, the reason why we're having this, the reason why everyone is all of a sudden really interested in Passion UA, which I noticed that a lot of you weren't particularly interested for a long time, but now all of a sudden you care. So we'll get into all that. First, Munster, welcome back. Thank you for joining again. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing very good. We've just brought the players over to EU, so we started cracking. Only a few days till our first LAN, our first showing.
Yeah, no pressure. Get it up and running and going this quickly. We'll start off with you.
Not at all.
We'll start off with you. You were, FlyQuest Red, and then technically since then, according to HLTV, you're just jobless. We know you're an assistant coach.
Yeah.
On this Passion UA team. How did that happen? Like, was it a team you'd already had some interest in? Did you have a relationship with TC? Like, how did that come to be?
Yeah, I mean, HATV was right. I was jobless for a better part of like the first season. I was in talks with Complexity. I've had multiple offers, but I tried to stick around them. And I basically did some like paid work for them, but I was never hired as their full-time analyst, mainly because of the reason we will be discussing about like the sale and stuff like this. So you could imagine they were not super well financially, but yeah. And that's how I got to meet TC. And yeah, I really like TC. As soon as he joined Passion, basically he had another analyst, but very soon after he was on the lookout for another one. I've had like a few other teams like in the back scenes, but like I've never had
Yeah.
like a contract on the table that I wanted to sign, and I really wanted to work for TC, so here I am.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Obviously, you're kind of, it's not off the books analyst work for Complexity, but at least some of the work you've done
No,
does make more sense. Because to me, there was no connection to draw. It's just you appear on Passion
yeah,
UA, and I'm like,
yeah, exactly. Like
great.
if you just look at the HLTV or like at least only Twitter or something like this, like there's no way you
Yeah.
could have. So yeah.
Yeah, so an absolute mystery. But firstly, let's talk about that. So TC, the two of you working together, what would you say is your strengths as a duo? Like, what is it that firstly made you click? Was it just a vision of the game that matched up?
I think on a personal level, we click quite a bit. Like visions, I want to say, yeah. I think this is like also balance coach, but the main reason I'm like attracted, like I wouldn't be an assistant at this point in my career for a lot of coaches, but for TC, like I think we complement each other well. And I think he gives me the free reign I need and I want in teams, like to decide, to basically like be the playbook sometimes and stuff like this, to like have freedom of say in the team. And there's not a lot of coaches who do that for analysts in general, even if the analyst is reputable or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the like thing that initially intrigued me, that I was coming into call from not a position of power at all, and like he was giving me free hand with like asking me stuff like this. So yeah, like it's a bit him, but it's also mostly the dynamic.
Okay, so he values your input on that stuff.
Yeah, he values my input, and he also like is someone that has really good input as well. So I can also respect him from my end. He's not just a guy who just like takes advantage of me and
Hmm.
uh takes the credit.
Okay, fair enough. And so we talk a lot about this with coaches, talking about how there's different facets to the role. It's tactical, analytical, but it's also in that sort of player management, that sort of role.
Yeah.
For yourself as the assistant or as an analyst or whatever you want to call it, that exact role, how much of it is going to be more focused on just prepping demos, prepping strats, and how much of it do you actually get, stuck into player
Yeah.
management and handling the personalities? Like, what's your mix?
I mean, the answer here will depend differ based on the two teams that we've had. So
Okay.
on the old team, I think it was like the boring answer was like actually 50-50 because I was also doing a lot of coaching. I was close to a lot of the players and like I was sharing his attributions there. But
Mm-hmm.
here, I'm mostly expecting me to be in charge of more like the tactical, like the boring side of the game.
Okay.
Because these guys already have it figured out. Like JT takes all of the charge and all of the responsibility of the playbook and how he wants to switch things up or whatever, and TC is supporting him. So I wouldn't necessarily need to be like super involved with like keeping it all together, like with telling people where to be or whatever, because JT already
Mm.
has all that handled. So yeah, I will just do more of the traditional analyst work probably in this team.
Okay, so in that sense, how you operate as a coach tandem is going to be dictated by essentially your IGL, like how much like he
Yeah,
has
and
under wraps.
the level of experience of the overall team is the
Okay.
second factor. Like if you have super young players, you need to be a bit more involved. Like a lot of team chats, a lot of talks after the
Mm,
games. But if these guys already have it figured out, for example, someone like Halzerk, like there's little I can teach this guy tangibly. Like I need to like to the dot teach him like from start to finish something. Like
yeah.
it was just gonna be like nuggets of stuff that I can easily get out of the way, and it won't be like a stress for me to push myself to do demos with these guys to teach them how to think about the game.
Yeah, he knows his mistakes. Like when he comes off the game, he
Yeah,
knows where he messed up. You don't have to handhold him through it. Yeah.
yeah,
Right. So
exactly.
a curiosity for me is when you join Passion UA, obviously we're talking about the Ukrainian team at that point. What was the team kind of striving for? What was the also what's the atmosphere like? I've so many questions because you kind of come in
Yeah.
mid-season. Let's just start with the simplest one. Sort of what were their goals at that point? What were they aiming for? Was it major qualification or was it just to work up this VRS nightmare?
At that point, like I came in right after they've given up on hopes for the previous major, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to make the rebuild, and that's why it happened with TC. So I never had pressure for that specific season. Everything was about this season.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean we just grinded our way in the previous season. I think we were pretty successful. Like online was pretty good, and we won a LAN, and like everything that we went like it's a crazy volume of games, and like the variability in this is not gonna be something that you can control. Like you can see, there's no tier 2 team that's like destroying everyone and already made it to tier 1. It's a slow process. It's like super
Mm.
slow, and like one loss takes you back 3 steps in the current VRS system. So like it wasn't something that I couldn't be proud of. But yeah, for this season it was the major. Obviously, the main goal has always been the major for them, and we started pretty slow. Not because we had like more vacations or whatever. I just think like the atmosphere in the team degenerated a bit. And yeah, like
Okay.
probably that's your next question. So I
Yeah,
will
sort
stop
of.
it there. But yeah, major lands top
Hmm.
30 basically.
Yeah, and you come in, and as I kind of hinted at, you're mid-season. You've missed the major, which was the goal. Does it kind of deflate a bit the energy within the players? Like just slowly, just grinding. Just it
Yeah,
seems
yeah, yeah.
long, you know.
I could have no. I noticed like on some of them that they were disappointed that they missed the major. Like when we were watching together, like because for
Hmm.
example, I didn't come from a position where I should have made the major. I didn't have a team, so like for
Sure.
me, it was already like I had time to make peace with this. So I can see some of them were like a bit disappointed, but it wasn't something that like we that killed our team. Like the first part, the better part of when I worked with them, it was actually pretty nice in the team.
Okay. Yeah, and that's sort of what I saw as well. We're
And
talking about
yeah,
your
so sorry to interrupt.
good.
Like the org did not have like crazy expectations for that like season. Like we
Okay.
overperformed their expectations, and that's why we were very hopeful about this one.
Okay, that is yeah. That kind of piques my interest. That tickles me a bit because I'm like, yeah. When I look at the results, they're not dire. You know, when you talk about overhauling a roster, these are not trash results. They're not
Yeah,
incredible. I'm not going to
yeah, for
pretend,
sure, for sure.
but these are not terrible results. I mean, sure, missing a few qualification opportunities, all these sorts of things could be better, but nonetheless, I thought the team was playing fine. So this was this massive overhaul, especially to go from such a strong Ukrainian brand into a very obviously different representation is a massive change. So was it just an opportunity that came up and Passionate seized it, or was it just that? Well, I can't imagine it's just the results were too bad to ever consider keeping the
For sure.
team.
It's a good observation, yeah, for sure. It wasn't like I don't pretend to have known everything behind the scenes. If it was a master plan from the beginning, it's not
Yeah,
something I can tell you, or like it's just conspiracies. Like I'm just here doing my job.
yeah,
But yeah, that's how it was. It was an opportunity to sign this roster. Complexity were looking to sell. It was no secret. Like that's why they didn't have a coach for so long. That's why I couldn't join them when I did, when I
right.
could have. And yeah, basically it was this. And also, I think we made the switch. Like changes were in order. Maybe not a complete roster overhaul as you're saying, but changes were in order because the personal side of the previous team has like run its course. Like in teams, like teams have a specific lifespan. Usually, you can
Yeah,
extend it with like good coaching or whatever. But people get tired of each other eventually. Like there's the small things like ramp up, ramp up, ramp up, and you can't always do like empty the backpacks or talk or whatever to fix certain issues. Sometimes it's just easier for the mind of the rest to just make a change. And we should have made the
Hmm.
change, and we had this opportunity to make a more drastic change, which it wasn't like something that came easy to me for sure, because I really, really liked and I really thought almost all of the pieces in that previous. I mean, all I think are very good, but some I think are like world class. Like three people, particularly in that team, I think they're world class at their role. So yeah, we just
Yeah.
happen to do this. We need the VRS. We need like the core of complexity. So the changes we can make to the roster itself weren't like we weren't given too much of a free hand. So we just had to pick and choose the thing that complexity needs the most, which is firepower.
Hmm. You're right. So
In the name of them, yeah.
I'm gonna kind of pick on some of that later, but first I'm going to try and keep it as positive and light as possible. Now, firstly, Waro Demka, those two, they've managed huge results in the past. Like they've made deep runs, they've made a major playoff appearance. They've had this sort of success. So they've kind of built almost like a not quite a veteran presence, but they have this sort of established feeling about them when you talk about them as players. How do they mesh with the younger pieces? Because a couple of the guys on the team are like Jacasmo is incredibly young. What's his Topa? Like he's one of the more mysterious figures for me. Like, how did those two guys in particular, who are so established, like mesh with these younger players?
I think the person, like the on the server, like whatever, like mesh was fine.
Hmm.
It's just that they specifically them two came with a lot of baggage from their previous teams, like
Hmm.
about each other, like about the dynamics in the team, and it was always like a disconnect from the start of like at the core level how should we play. And
Right.
TC came into a team that was already made, so he probably had input on one or two of the signings, but Waro was already there. And yeah, I think Topa was already there and Kvem was already there. No, maybe one of maybe Waro they signed towards the end, so maybe it was just Jacasmo, Topa,
Waro comes
and
in around the same time as
yeah.
TC, at least the official timeline I'm
Yeah,
provided.
yeah. But
Jacasmo,
probably
Topa, and Kvem are there.
only DMQ was the like the added
Yeah.
like with TC's consent, let's say. And basically like when the vision differs like so much, it's really tough to point my finger and say that like the veterans didn't contribute enough or whatever. It's just like didn't click in the right moments in the server. Like
Okay.
for example, what I'm noticing now with these guys, just to draw a parallel, is they are way more like waiting for each other, cohesive. Like they enjoy playing together much more, like actually playing together in the server, not just like being on the server and killing and winning the game. It's like in
Okay.
every moment they enjoy playing together. And I think that's how I would put it. That team wasn't doing particularly as well. But I don't think it was a problem of veterans of leadership or whatever. It was just that that's why we made the change because we weren't exactly sure where to go next.
Right.
And
That's the
yeah,
curiosity, though, right? You talked about a team having run its course. There's a lifespan, a certain amount of time, things build up. This team as a five was together from April to August. That's 4 months.
yep,
Now, I don't
that's
know
how it is
much
in the
about
CIS.
pro teams, but that's not a long time.
That is definitely not a long time. But the CIS culture is the way it is, man. Like I don't
Right.
want to like harp on them too much because obviously I love my work. I love the previous players, but they're way more direct with feedback. And you would think that this makes it like easier and like problems are like easier to solve because everybody knows what's up. But also these guys are not like the most mature because they've been inside for their whole lives and they don't really like anytime they deliver something, it doesn't mean that something is real or it's happening or whatever. It's just a feeling a lot of the time.
Right.
And when you like are given free speech constantly to like uh say whatever you want,
Yeah.
like, that's what builds up, and that's what for me as a coach is becoming more increasingly more and more hard to deal with because I have to have more and more talks, put them like into the room more and more together, and it becomes tedious to deal with more outside the server stuff than
Right.
inside the server stuff. And that's I think why like in general CIS teams, if you look historically, they have lesser lifespans than European teams.
So is that perhaps why just these are the two that we've seen internationally, Waro, Demka, they were able to actually last a lot longer internationally. Maybe just when the backgrounds are more mixed, the cultures are different.
Yeah.
That
Monty was
helps
an
them
international
survive.
team for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, Monty was an international team, and maybe like there still was like traces of the same culture there, but I doubt like it was to the same extent. And for sure, like in any international team I've been, even in the girls scene, like it wouldn't be considered like okay and normal to react poorly on a daily basis, like consistently. I'm not saying like who does this in the team, is like a general thing for them, that there's a lot more of this to deal with in this like expansion team than it was in any other team I've been in.
Okay. Well, this change happens, right? We bring in
Yeah.
this complexity core, as you put it, and Kvem is the player that's prioritized, kept on. Now, firstly, he comes in for 60. Now, on surface, the roles make sense for me. Was it more about Kvem being just better, or was it more about 60 underperforming and therefore needing to figure out the right replacement?
Yeah, I don't really have access to their end of why they like didn't fight for him at all. But or when we bought them, like we wanted one of our own to be in the team to conserve the UA and whatever, and also like to improve the roster. Like it's that
Right.
roster is no secret that they weren't doing particularly good, and I'm not sure how we're gonna do after this. But they also like weren't good. Like if we back then fought these guys now, like the old rosters fought together, I'm pretty confident that previous roster could have won against this one.
Oh, I think
So
that's a coin flip at best for complexity. I'm gonna
yeah,
be honest.
yeah. So, and like I'm saying this like because we also pranked them and we kind of smashed them. I hope my guys watch this interview. But yeah, it was just about Kvem being Kvem, and yeah, there were more people considered for like the role move, so it wasn't
Mm.
like Danny sucks or whatever. I worked with Danny before with CXCI, and I don't think he's a bad player. But yeah, that's how it lined up. Also on the org side with the Ukrainian, and yeah, we are now passion NA with them.
Yeah, Passion USA is how my chat's been calling you for the last week or so. But that's interesting. So, from your perspective, it kind of sounded like almost you asked for the players' input in terms of which sort of change would be made. Like it's kind of what it sounded like. Oh,
I believe so. Like I told you,
okay,
I don't have
not everything,
the
but
key. Yeah, I actually don't have like how the decision was made. Like
okay.
nobody relayed that to me. Like I was just let know like we're gonna have this team plus them, and that's how it happened. Like everything else is as much speculation for me as it is for everyone else. How it happened and, or why.
Yeah, because the core, as we like to talk about, is three players.
Yeah.
And my first
Oh,
reaction when I
yeah.
see that
I can
is,
explain. So the
why not
core of
three?
VRS is 3 players, but we also need a core to be NA. So that's why we couldn't have replaced more than just one.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Not saying we should have or would have, or like in my opinion, I would have worked with Danny just fine as well. Like the full five of complexity. It's
Hmm.
just that's is those two things line up. Is like the VRS ranking and the NA VRS, because we need 3 NA players in the team to be able to be considered for the NA region
Hmm.
and get the slot through that for the major if we get it.
Yeah, that was the curiosity for me because I was thinking, firstly, potentially more changes could have been made. I did think there was, you know, I'm gonna have my analyst take. I'm not going to share it too explicitly, but I thought there could have been more changes made based on players you could just maintain from the previous roster. That's why when I'm seeing Kvem retained, everyone else, nah, not happy with you, bench you. I was a bit like, oh, I could have seen another solution to this, another outcome. Let's put it that
It's
way.
it it's also on the business side. Like I can't really share a lot of what's happening, but it's also about the desire for these people that we have. Like currently, the 2 people that are on the bench for us are insane professionals. I really love working with them. Some are
Yeah.
became really good friends of mine already. So it's also for what makes sense for them as their career. Like they also had a choice. You know, all of our pieces have had a choice in this. Like if they have another option to pursue it or whatever. So yeah, maybe we'll see some interesting transfers coming up soon involving them.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. I hope so. I hope so because there's certain players I do want to see thriving. I mean,
Me
just
too.
on the Demka front, I had conversations or proposed roster moves going far back to when G2 needed, well, what ended up being Heavy God. I was talking, what, Demka's the same
A
sort
lot
of
of these tier
player,
one teams
highly
need
quality.
anchors. What I'm saying, like, a lot
Yeah.
of these tier one teams need someone like DemQ.
The problem is some of the ones that need most desperately, for some reason, need to stay Americas to make the major. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a weird coincidence that
we'll
every
see how
NA
that
team has the
works.
same problem. Yeah, we can't just dump them into liquid anymore. That's not an option. They need to make another change in the other direction. But no, so yeah, this new roster assembled. We now understand why it's not two that could have been kept. It's You need that major qualification. Um, the goal now, this season, obviously, make the major. Imperative. I don't know what your position in the Americas looks like, but I'm assuming it's going to be pretty hard to miss out.
It's good. Yeah, I want to say it's like an 80%, 90% now, but like there is still generational fuck ups you can do in these spots. Like we
Yeah.
are only gonna attend lands from now on. I'm not sure if all are disclosed, but yeah. So on this front, like we have a fair chance, but as you say, like it's you need to be um fucking up to
Yeah, you would
to
need to
miss out.
screw it up pretty badly, I think, based on the Americas ranking right now. Uh, for you as a coach, now you had this Passion UA team. You talked about the grind, that ridiculous online grind.
Yeah.
Uh, the VRS system. Just your take on it. Like you've had to interact with it quite explicitly now with that Passion UA team. You've seen rosters. There have been a couple of examples of teams who have actually taken the plunge from unranked to basically tier one. I mean, the example, the classic one is Snappy's NIP.
That's
Iberian
it.
Soul have done an incredible job
Uh,
in a similar vein.
Yeah, I
Is
think
it?
Iberian Soul was like in the same position as we would have been like, but because they haven't like converted to the invites yet. Like it's not enough to convert in one invite.
Yeah,
Because otherwise, like that invite is all you have. Because you go there, and if you don't perform, you're already back at
yeah,
this level. So it's just difficult, as you're saying.
yeah. So do you like it? Do you think it's firstly fair? Like, what's your take on VRS? Like, there's a lot of different opinions on it.
I mean, I come from a place where I was in Game Legion. And I made the final of a still 30 something ranked in the ESL ranking because the major was Blast. So I can't really compare to the previous and say, yeah, we had it better before because it
Mm,
wasn't better. Like we were winning online tournaments one after another, and EG was going and bang, lose, bang, lose, bang, lose. They're like 15 spots in front of us in the rankings with ESL, with Blast, or whatever. So it wasn't fair. Even HLTV like was not fair at all. But this like as a concept is good. Like everybody's saying this. I'm just repeating what they're saying at this point, but everybody's saying like the idea of it is good. Just the execution and like a lot of these like examples of people like not enforcing the rules or like all of this like the wildcard invites being exploited. Yeah, it just makes it increasingly hard, like
yeah.
excessively hard to make the jump because it's not encouraged. Like the jump is not being encouraged by TOs particularly because obviously, yeah, tier two teams less viewership. Everybody knows the whole thing.
Yeah, for
I don't
you,
want to like really point finger at one
mm,
example, but everybody knows like a few that I'm talking about that like the same teams get chances over others, like even if they're like lower in the VRS or whatever. So it's still
yeah,
a bit left to interpretation. And it's a hard jump to me for sure. Like it's not pleasant to be playing 3 games a day online, and then people say on the internet you play like a monkey, you play like whatever. I didn't prac in 2 weeks, man. Like, come on, give me a break.
yeah. That's the other factor. Like, for you as a coach, and you get to see your players prep, you get to see your players play the online officials. You also have to prep them. Like, realistically, when we're talking one of those weeks where you're playing six officials,
Impossible.
yeah, where do you even adapt? Change your strategies, come up with new things. Like, there's no free time, is there?
I got good at that. I mean, to see like that's why we are so good online because like we are very good at like prepping on spot and like delivering really fast or whatever. It's just very tedious and it's not something you can be consistent in. Like prepping and being solid tactically to win a lot of online games is like fourth in the list of priorities. The number one is to just have the endurance and like destroy in these games individually, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how it is, and that's why that passion was briefly successful because we had good players above good prep. But yeah,
Right.
it's not fun and it's really like demanding for me as a coach. I will have way more fun to just like have a rhythm. Like you go to LAN, you prepare for it, you know what you're going through, then you debrief, then it's like more smooth. And that's why everybody's looking to escape this tier two hellhole.
Yeah, and everyone's looking for every loophole out. Playing
Yeah,
Fragadelphia, playing Epic Land, doing whatever it
buying NA
takes.
teams.
Buying NA teams, clearly, yeah. Some of us have, well, different solutions, but still, it's the same problem, right? It's the same problem. That grind is just untenable. Now, for you, you're going into these, you say you're only playing lands from now on in, right? No more do you have to grind the officials online and do all that, well, to be
Hopefully, I
polite.
mean for this season that is the plan going
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah. Well, no more of that bollocks, really. Like, none of that left. I've had an interesting conversation with Ash. We've talked about prepping certain players in certain ways and how intense you can make it. Like there's sort of a cap on how much you can actually work a player. Like how often do you think that's going to be a problem going forward? Like if you've got a great idea and you're like, oh, but I just can't
Yeah,
work him
yeah.
even more. He's got to do
It's
his
gonna
own
be
shit.
it's gonna be less of a problem. I can't help but think that Ash told you about the Kios example that he got him on the server ramp nuke, right?
Yeah, he didn't bring it up. I brought it up in order to
Okay, okay.
breach the question of, or approach the question
I
rather, of
swear he was
how
never
much
doing
more.
that when I was there. Like that was not the case.
That's kind of what I
But
touched
yeah,
on. I asked him
he fluffed
specifically,
it
like,
up for
how
you to
much could
yeah.
you do it? If you had enough coaches and everything, like, how much could you do that sort of prep?
I think it's diminishing returns. That's a general question. It's not necessarily about like how the current team is or whatever. It's just diminishing returns. Like if
Right,
you have a super important game, the major finals, something like this, you have a lot of time. Everybody's putting 150% of what they have. You can go overboard. But if you do it consistently, people lose focus. Like it's like speeches when you do like encouraging speeches. You can't do it every day. You
right,
need to like give the perception of change of like we're doing something special, we're doing something different, and that's how you get the best results from. Like if you constantly do it, it's not gonna be efficient, and you're gonna just destroy your own like endurance. Like you also, as the coach, as the analyst, you need to be uh to not burn out.
right. Now you're working with in this team JT, who has, it's funny to have followed him throughout this career because he's become, he had this sort of underdog complexity roster. Eventually gets a liege, but initially his success comes off his own fragging, and it's just a really fascinating narrative to follow. And for an IGL to be a fragger like that, it doesn't seem sustainable. Like it's a question I've asked of a lot of IGLs: how, if ever, you can be a good fragging IGL. They mostly seem to imply that it's impossible between the demo prep and everything else. Would it be potentially possible if you took a lot of that prep load off an IGL? He could return to that sort of fragging level. Like, is that something you'd think of trying?
I'm not really sure where he is and how he feels about himself now if he dropped off or something. But usually, like he never had the luxury you have having like the most insane players in his teams. I would say, and
Yep.
that's why he had to do a lot of this himself. I think he's capable. I just think now, like before in the whole complexity, I said to the guys, like if we ever have an AK on City side, we give it to JT. Now we have another guy to give that AK to. So like he will be a bit alleviated, and if he gets help from me, it's also a process for me. I guess TC as well because it's been 6 months since they worked together, not
Mm.
6 months, but like 4 or 5 months, something like this. To get like him to buy in and we buy into what he does, like we take more and more off his shoulders for sure.
And for you on this roster, there's a lot of pieces who are pretty, got a pretty good rep. Like Grim post Elige, basically, as I've described it, has become, more of a star rifle. Holzerk is capable of having these flashes.
Yeah.
Is it one of these guys who's the key to your success moving forward in terms of the star you expect to shine? Or is it Kvem, the guy you've kept on, who you think secretly people should be really scared of?
I mean, if I have to warn people, yeah, there is this guy that you kind of have to be scared of. But
Hmm.
what I always like in the girl team, like in general, what my philosophy about the game is like we just need a functional team. Like people should number one reason in my opinion if they are a smart team they should be scared of us being solid, like a solid tactical team
Right.
with well-rounded pieces. Anybody can pop off in their spot. It's not gonna be like one guy will just. We don't want to be dysfunctional and that scare the other team like Spirit or whatever other like crazy uh like volatile whatever like rosters that you have one guy that's like barely alive and one guy that's like the best in history or something like this. So we don't aim to be like that and we don't aim for people to uh like if they play us they should be scared of us.
Got it. Yeah. So, in that sense, who would be the team you currently look up to? Like the team that you are trying to not necessarily copy, but at least be inspired by, like, see they play solid. They are a
Yeah,
team. What's your like kind of go-to demo to watch for that? Like who
you
is it?
can't really say at this point anything but Vitality because they're also incredibly well rounded. They're not carried at all. Obviously, there might be a
Mm-hmm.
bit more fluctuation with their roles, but I think all of their players are really insane. If you want a more like niche answer, I want to say Astralis. I think
Yeah.
the Astral, yeah, like we want to be chill, like we want to be a bit quirky, like with what we're doing or whatever, but at the same time, like a healthy team. That's what we want to be. We don't want any specific like guy to have like 130 and everybody's singing your praises because then like keep in mind we are also kind of a tier 2 team still. Like We're not invulnerable to these people coming to our doorstep and saying, "Here's a million. I'll take this guy from you."
Yeah, I guess so. Winning via team play just to make sure everyone's still on the team next season is that's a
Yeah, or
weird
if we
mentality,
make
but yeah.
change, if we make changes, it doesn't like mess with our cohesion that much. Like we need something solid
Okay.
so we can plug another guy in if it comes to us being like a supermarket for tier one teams.
Yeah, understandable. And so in that sort of solidity, you talk about vitality. It's a lot of what we see that they do so well is sort of that just everyone kind of can do a lot of things. Everyone can do different
Yeah,
things. This guy can throw the flashes. This guy can anchor. This guy can push. This guy can, sit still and
everybody's
wait.
excellent at one thing, but we need everybody to be a bit versatile.
Right. Oh, okay. So for you, Kvem, is he your Flame Z?
Probably.
Yeah.
I can't really put my finger on who is who on Vitality. Role wise, for sure. Him. I
Hmm.
guess Flames plays a lot of anchor spots, so it's not
It is weird,
Flames.
yeah.
It's like a mesh if Apex was good and Flames.
Yeah, if Apex could shoot, yeah, that's Kvem.
Yeah,
Ah, that's
pretty
pretty
much.
fair.
I'm not saying like Apex is obviously super insane, but people make fun of him because he shot worse lately.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a downturn this season, but last season, on his
Yeah,
CT rolls, he ends up like his rating comes out to a 117 or something. Like that's absurd for
yeah,
an IGL, That's
yeah.
not
And it's like
expected.
he's been doing it for so long and everything. But yeah,
Yeah, he's not a young
yeah, I think we're,
not a
we're
young guy.
comparable, like in terms of like dynamic in the team, but obviously like skill and experience, we have a lot to grow to reach that level.
Right. Yeah, well look, you have two lands coming up. I was just looking through your schedule. Now you're firstly going to Draculan, which should be not too far for you to go, right? That's
No, no, like 20 minutes from here.
yeah, that should be fun. An event where I'm looking through the rosters. The door seems wide open for you. What's the goal? Is it to win this event, or are you realistic in terms of, like, not realistic necessarily, but are you a little less ambitious with your statement? Is it more of a make the grand final or just play good CS? What's the actual goal here?
Yeah, as always, I don't think I would be unrealistic to say we should win it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's gonna be the first event for us. As I said, we won't have a lot of prac, so we will rely a lot on like our willingness to like improvise and like me and TC do like solid prep or whatever. We have already some experience with this kind of lands. Maybe some of the teams that are going that are our competition don't, and that's gonna be in our favor. Yeah, I mean it's not crazy teams, but all are like solid online grindy teams that also need the VRS. They also play their best for these events. So we're not expecting an easy fight from anyone. Like I even know all of their, I mean, their most are my friends, so I'm not expecting an easy fight from any of them either.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, because when you look through the teams, you're like Aim Club, Infinite, and Insiders. These are not the names I am familiar with. Like these are not the
Yeah,
the Romanians I expect to face in any level of play. Like I've never heard any of these guys.
yeah. I mean, most have been around the scene, but it's obviously the local scene more.
Mm.
Yeah, I really look forward to face Infinite, my friends.
Yeah, got them in a
If
group.
they ever make it out of the groups.
Yeah. Okay. No. Oh yeah, it's a direct to playoff seeding.
Yeah,
Direct to playoff invite. Okay, that's crazy.
I'll settle for Nexus, but Infinite I want to face. They're on my list.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, you also have Star Series Fall, which is another one of these events. Like that seems. Some people have quoted it as being like one of the RMRs of this season.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bit different for you, but what is it like going into an event like this, knowing that people are not just playing for this prize pool, but also playing for, well, their financial future, basically, in terms of stickers?
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the LAN. Like since I've joined Passion, it's probably the LAN that's like it's the invite, you go there, it's like a proper LAN or whatever. I think there's Navi that's going
Yep.
there and Bait are the like the solid teams. And then there's like teams like around the level. And yeah, really looking forward to face Navi as well for another reason. But another Romanian reason.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh yeah, it's gonna be nice, and I think that one is a bit less pressure for us to win in that sense. Like it's gonna be, we are going into these games, and all the pressure is gonna be on the opponent.
Yeah. So just play your
And yeah,
best.
we don't take it as like that's our RMR because I told you, we are already in a good spot. We just need to not fuck up. If we get a few games in all of these lands, we're gonna be good.
Yeah, you're not that far off. I mean, fourth in the Americas ranking currently is this former complexity core. Yeah, should be looking good. All right, let's just wrap this up. I've taken enough of your time. I know you have prac starting up again.
Yeah.
in not too much time. So just to wrap up, you guys are, I think, going to be a more interesting team than the Complexity team was, just because, it's a new player, new face. Obviously piques our interest. We've known Kvem for a long time. He was stuck on Ikla, on that bench. Since working with him, does he feel like a freed man, like he's come out of jail? Because that's what it was to us. Like, that man was in prison, and now he's out and playing again. Was that the vibe he gave you too?
Yeah, I think he's really grateful for what Passion did for him, like rescuing him for that. A big mess behind the scenes. I don't really want to go into it public because I might actually harm his case if I do.
Mm.
But yeah, like I wasn't aware personally how insane this guy was before. Now I'm actually confident in saying he's the best player I ever coached, and I coached like some seriously good players before. Um, yeah, I mean, hope he's gonna give his best because this guy at his best is unplayable, as I said before.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well, that's going to wrap us up. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Leave a comment telling us your thoughts on this latest roster move. Pretty blockbuster, surprising, just kind of out of nowhere move. And yeah,
Fever dream.
yeah, it kind of was, to be honest, when we saw it all
Yeah.
happening. Yeah, sub for more content. Remember that members get access to typically these sorts of interviews, though this one is going to be made fully public, as well as a bunch of extra bonus content, and it's the best way to support the channel. But all right, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Goodbye.